It's production time. I'm Reid Realist Puppet in the game. Today, we're mixing a rap vocal and beat using MixBus 10. This is a very unique DAW by Harrison Audio, who's been innovating in manufacturing analog recording consoles used in professional studios to make hit records for over 50 years. What makes MixBus so unique is the analog console-inspired design that's specifically crafted to emulate the sonics and workflow of legendary workstations like the Harrison 3232 and SSL 9000J. But more on that later. This tutorial is going to cover everything from importing, organizing, and grouping your stems, mixing rap vocals from scratch, bussing and processing stems in your beat, then mastering your track to industry standard loudness using all stock effects and plugins included with MixBus 10 or tools you can download completely free. But let's jump into the session. Let's start out by opening our DAW and creating a new project, because we're going to be starting absolutely from scratch. So let's click New Session, give our project a name, a location, and hit Open. Let's select our audio device and press Start. So here we are inside of an empty session. The first thing I'm going to do is match the tempo of my song, which is 160, apply, and now our grid adjusts accordingly. Let's drag in our stems. So let's highlight all of our stems and drag them into our session. We'll press Command A, slide them all the way over to the beginning.
Rising up, I can't stop.
Now let's just play it along with our metronome to make sure it's aligned with our grid.
This is what I call leverage. I'm pulling down the lever, calling on the shots.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's forever. Can't stop, won't stop, won't stop.
So as you could hear, these vocal recordings are completely raw. They have absolutely no processing on them whatsoever. When I'm looking at all my stems as the same color as one another, it becomes very disorienting very quickly, especially in a song like this that has over 45 channels in it. So a really great shortcut to organize everything here in MixBus 10 is to hover your mouse over this left side and click and drag down until you've highlighted all the instruments that belong together in a group. Do all the synths and plucks. The bass and 808s will go in a separate group. And we can call this our synths. There's also some orchestral instruments in here too. But as far as being a summed up folder, let's just call it synths to be general. For my synths, I like the color blue. And this whole group is going to share all of these same properties. Boom. And now let's repeat these steps for our bass in 808. And for me, bass is a red thing. Let's dial in like a nice dark red. All of our drums are next. Drums, for me, are purple. We're going to group all of our effects together. Let's make our effects yellow. And now we're into our vocals. I'm going to divide it between lead vocals and background vocals. These first four stems are all various lead vocal recordings. And we're going to make these teal. These are all of our background vocals. And we're going to color these a similar color, but maybe just green. And then this is Adlibs. And we could just double click this one channel by itself. And we're going to process Adlibs separately from everything else. One of the really useful things about MixBus 10 is the way that they separate your recording page that shows all your inputs, your edit page, which we were just looking at, which shows your timeline, Q if you want to line up samples and loops and things that you might be using in your production. And finally, a mix page where you have a full screen view of your mixer with all the tracks that you've created. So on one side, we have our individual channels, and on the other side, we have all of our mix buses. Now by default, MixBus gives you 12 of these open, and then a master chain on the very right. And all of our organizational coloring and naming is reflected here at the top of the mixer too. But these are more visual organization groups, not actual routing buses. So let's get into routing some of the stems in our track. We could do that from the edit page. And we're going to send all of these, instead of going to the master, we're going to send all of these to MixBus 1. And MixBus 1, if we go back to our mixer, we can rename Synths, just because I like being really organized, especially when you're dealing with big projects. Next, we'll go to our bass. We can assign this to MixBus 2. So let's create the same names here for our mix buses: bass, drums, effects, lead vocals, background vocals. And then we're going to use our last few buses to create some effects. So this one's going to be our reverb. Number 8 is going to be our delay. And who knows, maybe we'll set up more effects and use bus 9 as well. So now we can go back into our edit page and assign each group to a bus. So bass is going to bass. And don't forget to turn off the send going into the master because our audio is going here now. And if you have both of these lights on, it'll be twice as loud in your mix, and you just don't want that. So if you're going to send a bunch of stems to a singular bus to mix them easier, always remember to turn the master off. Drums, effects, lead vocals, background vocals, and Adlibs we're going to process right here on the channel because there's only one chain of them. There's no reason to group it together. So now let's listen to our unmixed track from the start. I always like to start out by leveling everything just to make sure it sounds as mixed as possible before adding any plugins. And while these colorful bars are illuminated, everything that's grouped is going to get adjusted together. So I'm simply going to ungroup them and make some individualized adjustments to my channel while this plays.
Rising up, I can't stop, I can't stop. Rising up, I can't stop. I wake up daily on a mission. Yeah, I ride or die in my position. Get to the point, no contradiction. Yeah, going hard is my tradition. All I do is win, I can't stop for nothing. Head hunting, yeah, you gotta love it when you got it out of nothing. You can't stop the rise, everything's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no grace when you give up. Folding under pressure, do the most, not the lesser.
808's cooking a little too hard. Let's turn this down.
What I call leverage, I'm pulling down the lever, calling on the shots. Yeah, it's forever, can't stop, won't stop, till I land, on top, can't stop, I think not, it's my time, check my
Keep the bass
watch,
up. Just a first general listen where you go over everything once just to make sure the mix feels balanced, because it's really important to establish balance before you start worrying about effects. Another thing you could do if you like cleaning up your recordings, sometimes you get extra silence in there that you don't want, and a little crossfade helps it sound extra clean. And if you need to make a cut in your audio, the scissor tool. In addition to the toolbars, some other important navigational shortcuts that you might find useful for using MixBus 10 are scrolling and zooming. If you're using a traditional mouse, if you hold Shift and scroll up and down on your scroll wheel, it goes side to side. If you hold Command and scroll in, it goes in and out. Or if you like zooming with a keyboard shortcut, plus and minus at the top of your keyboard do the trick. So I've gone through and given my track a basic level and cleanup where all the empty space is removed between the lyrics, crossfades are applied. We've done just about everything we could do here on our edit page to prepare our mix. Let's go over to the mix page. A really great shortcut is pressing Command = to switch between the mix window and edit window, or vice versa. So again, this group reflects all the individual stems on our timeline, and this group reflects all of the buses that we created where we're going to be applying our processing. So this is where the DAW really starts to feel like a Harrison mixing console. You have EQ, compression, and gate settings already on every channel that sonically and graphically emulate what it's like to use a Harrison console. And if you have a MixBus Pro license, you also get access to the SSL 9000J emulation in addition to the Harrison 32C. When I'm mixing, I always like to start with what sounds like it needs the most work first. And all of these stems from the production already sound pretty good together. They only need slight enhancements here on the groups. So that means my starting point is going to be over here on the vocals, because this is where things are completely raw. Let's start out with our lead vocal.
Rising up, I can't stop, rising up, I can't stop.
So we've got everything going in through this bus.
I wake up daily on a mission.
So let's start out with some
I ride or
EQ.
die in my position. Get to the point, no contradiction. Yeah, going hard is my tradition.
In addition to the stock Harrison EQ and compressors, you can also add your own third-party plugins or choose from the assortment of stock plugins that come with MixBus 10, and we're going to use as many stock plugins as possible. I always like to start my vocal chain with EQ and compression anyways, so let's go to our EQ section down here and make some adjustments. Let's enable our EQ section. Let's also enable our high pass filter section, and let's high pass filter these vocals
All I do is win, I can't stop for nothing.
somewhere around 130, 140 hertz.
Got it out of nothing.
The SSL low cut doesn't have such a steep filter, so I end up dialing in a higher frequency than I normally would.
Ain't no grace when you give up.
Plus this voice is a little extra bassy.
Can't nobody do it
So let's go
better.
high,
This
mids,
is
and
what I
lows. Let's
call
start with lows.
leverage. Pulling down the lever, calling on the shots. Yeah, it's forever, can't stop, won't stop.
Just give it a little bit of a reduction.
On top.
C mids.
Can't stop. I think not. It's my time. Check my watch, yo.
Hey, and let's go some high frequencies.
Run the world as a rebel. Lock and loaded with a bullet for the devil.
Ooh, that's clean.
Bring the pain, I'm ready for whatever. Fear no man, never scared, no never.
Let's bring it back in with the beat.
Man, you should've known better. And if you knew, then you should've done better. Get the bread and the butter. I want all the cheddar. Cut it out, you ain't applying no pressure. Can't stop, can't stop, won't stop, won't stop.
Let's turn
till
the
I
EQ
land, till I land. On top, on the top. Can't stop, I won't stop. I think not, no. It's my time, my time. Check my watch, check my watch. Look.
And we could apply the similar EQ here on our background vocals too, but maybe just ever so slightly more bass removed. Let's go back to the beginning. We'll solo these two groups now.
Rising up, I can't stop.
And let's pull a little extra bass out of our background vocals too.
Can't stop. I wake up daily on a mission.
Maybe a little mids as well.
Yeah, I ride or die in my position. Get to the point, no contradiction. Get to the point. Yeah, going hard is my tradition.
Now, one thing I noticed is everything is straight down the center, and that's not good for our background vocals. That's perfect for our lead vocals. So I'm going to turn off this here so it's ungrouped just for some quick adjustments. And let's try panning this out a little bit and this out a little bit. And let's do the same with these background vocals over here, just to give them a slight spread.
Stop the rise, everything's right on time.
Hey.
If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no
Pulling our
grace when you
levels right
give up.
here.
Folding under pressure, do the most, not the lesser. Can't nobody do it better. This is what I call leverage. I'm pulling down the lever, calling on the shots.
Boom.
Yeah, it's forever. Can't stop, can't stop, won't stop, won't stop till I land.
And we're sounding clean already.
On top, on the top. Can't stop. I think not. It's my time, my time. Check my watch, yo.
So that's good for vocal EQ. We're just doing some really slight adjustments, small corrections and enhancements, some boosting on the leads and some more reducing on the background vocals, different low cut positions. Let's move on to compression here for our vocals. All I got to do is click comp here and our entire compression section of our mixer reveals itself. So let's go and bring down our threshold. We're going to pull our threshold down to about minus 18 or so. Now let's get our ratio kind of low.
I can't stop. I wake up daily on a mission. Yeah, I ride or die.
I like lighting up between 0 and -4. That's my target.
Yeah, going hard is my tradition. All I do is
We could slow down the attack to get more transient at the beginning of the words.
when you got it out of nothing.
Speed up the release.
It's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no grace when you give up.
And some makeup gain.
Pressure do the most, not the lesser. Can't nobody do it better. This is what I call leverage. I'm pulling down the lever, calling on the shots. Yeah, it's forever. Can't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop.
And this emphasis knob is a frequency emphasis. If you want to make the detector on the compressor more sensitive to, say, the mid-range, you could put this at around 1000 hertz.
Stop. Won't stop till I land. Till I land. On top.
Or you could put it around 6000 hertz and make it behave like a de-esser.
Can't stop. I think not. It's my time. My time. Check my watch, yo.
Or you could leave the emphasis off and do the de-essing on the individual channels, like over here. Boom, and we got a 6K de-esser on both of our lead vocals, and that frees up our compressor over here to do more of a standard dynamic bass compression rather than frequency emphasis.
Till I land. On top. On the top. Can't stop. I won't stop. I think not. No. It's my time. It's my time. Check my watch, yo. My watch. Look.
And let's apply some compression to our background vocals while we're here as well. Boom. Let's go from the beginning.
Rising up, I can't stop. I can't stop. Rising up, I can't stop.
And we'll do a higher ratio on our background vocals
I wake up daily on a mission.
just to get those more compressed.
Ride or die in my position. Get to the point, no contradiction. Yeah, going hard is my tradition. All I do is win, I can't stop for nothing here. Hunting, yeah, you gotta love it when
This sounded clean.
you can't stop the rise, everything's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind.
So I like how that little touch of compression is helping these not jump out and feel overly dynamic, because I think that uncontrolled dynamics is what really makes vocals feel raw. And I want these vocals to feel nice and tight. Next, that brings us to our sends. So we're going to go into our lead vocal bus. That's this orange one right here. And you know what, to be more organized, let's use our last 4 sends for effects instead of using 7 and 8. So we'll do 9 and 10 instead. Let's just delete this name, rename. Let's make bus 9 our reverb instead of bus 7, and let's make bus 10 our delay. And you know what, we might actually use different kinds of delays. So let's try this one to be like a delay quarter note, and maybe this one will be more of a slap delay. And then maybe we'll do something super special and saucy for the 12th one, we'll see. But let's just get the basics covered with some reverb. So I'm gonna add a reverb plugin into this mix by going to new plugins. So now we're gonna use some stock ones. These ACE plugins are your list of stock plugins that are included with MixBus 10. So I'm gonna pull up the ACE reverb, add it to our list, and insert the plugins. And here's our reverb. And you can see it's now listed here below the EQ and compressor that come with the channel as our first external insert. So since this is a reverb send, I'm gonna put this at 100%, and let's turn our room size up. And we're not gonna hear any reverb until we actually send something to it. So for that, I'm gonna use Shift and scroll over to where our lead vocals are, and let's turn on the reverb and send it. And this knob becomes our reverb volume on our lead vocals.
Rising up, I can't stop, I can't stop.
Let's turn this length up.
I wake up daily on a mission. Yeah, I ride or die in my position.
Hey.
Get to the point, no contradiction. Yeah, going hard is my tradition. All I do is win, I can't stop for nothing here.
Let's give our background some reverb too.
You got it out of nothing. You can't stop the rise, everything's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no grace when you give up. Folding under pressure, do the most, not the lesser. Can't nobody do it better.
And our Adlibs too. We'll give these the most reverb.
Yeah, it's forever, can't stop, won't stop, till I land, on top, can't stop, I think not.
Now that reverb is already sounding tight, and this is just one singular plugin helping all of these different vocal stems feel wet, so that's a great CPU saver when you bus everything to one reverb. Let's set up a delay plugin now. Here in our delay quarter notes, we can right click, new plugin, plugin selector, and let's go to the ACE delay, insert plugin. So we have musical rhythm divisions, quarter note by default, which happen to be exactly what I'm looking for. Feedback amount is how many echoes there's going to be. Got a little filter to make them darker. Wet at 100%. Gain at 0.0 should be good. Instead of sending our leads to these, let's just send our background vocals to them just to make our backgrounds feel ever so slightly more saucy than the leads. I love that dryness and clarity on the leads and then the sauce in the backgrounds.
It's my time, check my watch,
Let's rewind it.
This is what I call leverage, pulling down the lever.
Let's mute our lead.
On the shots, yeah, it's forever, can't stop, won't stop, won't stop.
Let's drag this out a little bit more so we could see more of our buses rather than our individual stems. That'll help us view everything a little bit better. Let's try a slower division. Let's try...
Going hard is my tradition.
I like that.
Head hunting, when you got it out of nothing.
And right here we got this deep vocal.
I can't stop, rising up.
Now this is made out of a pitched down version of the lead vocal.
I can't stop, I won't stop, rising up. I can't stop.
Let's apply just a little extra compression on these guys. I'm gonna go back to the compressor on just this channel, and let's pull down the threshold, and let's do really aggressive, fast release. Keep a high ratio.
I can't stop.
Yeah, it's forever, can't stop, won't stop, till I land, on top, can't stop, I think not, it's my time, check my watch,
And our deep voice comes in. I love how they have this little session navigator here. It makes it so easy to click around to different spots in your timeline while you're using the mix window. But anyways, let's compress this deep voice.
I can't stop, rising up. I can't stop, nah. Woo, rising up. I can't stop. I won't stop, rising up, I can't stop.
Let's turn our gain up.
Run the world as a rebel.
Extra hard compression.
Lock and loaded with a bullet for the devil. Bring the pain, I'm ready for whatever. Fear no man, never scared, no never. You're all wrong, man, you should've known better. And if you knew, then you should've done better. Get the bread and the butter, I want all the cheddar. Cut it out, you ain't applying no pressure, can't stop.
Let's just turn these ad-libs.
Till I land on top.
Let's also go to the EQ on these.
I think not, it's my time. Check my watch.
Here on the Adlibs is an opportunity to do something really funky with our EQ. By default, we've been using the Harrison 32C EQ, but you could very easily switch to a whole different console by just clicking here and switching to SSL 9000J. And now you have the familiar SSL knob layout and SSL sound right here in your console. It's like having the best of both worlds. So for Adlibs, I like to create that satisfying telephone effect, which is a combination of low cut, which we can dial in all the way up to 500 Hertz, and a low pass, which is the same as a high cut. And we could dial that all the way down to about 6K or so. And I also like to boost my high frequencies a little bit to make up for what we're cutting. Let's listen to our ad-libs.
And if you knew, then you should have done better. Get the bread and the butter, I want all the cheddar. Cut it out, you ain't applying no pressure, can't stop. Won't stop till I land.
Get that nice telephone effect.
I won't stop. Nah, it's my time. Check my watch.
Hey! SSL Adlib EQ sauce. And what I love about this DAW is it gives you the option to create a hybrid of two different console flavors. Let's say you like the way the Harrison sounded on the instrumental and you like the way SSL sounds on all your vocals. You could very easily go and switch your mixer to be an SSL and Harrison combo mixer. Nice. But I like the way the Harrison sounded on all these channels. We'll just keep SSL 9000J on our Adlibs. Now that we've got all of our vocals sounding really saucy, let's create one more delay. I really like the echo that we have going here, but I feel like we could create a little bit more diversity in the way our echoes sound. So let's go over here to our bus that we called slap delay, and let's just hold Option and copy this plugin over. And we're just gonna change the settings from 2 to 8. And let's turn the feedback down too, just so it's just a quick little slap, brighter as well. Boom. And let's try hitting this on our background vocals at a nice low volume. There it is. Maybe a little bit on our leads too, why not? Just a little tiny bit. Hey, so we've got all of our vocal effects locked in. We've got our leads, backgrounds, and ad-libs sounding super saucy with EQ, compression, reverb, and delay. Let's jump into our group processing here on our instrumental, and then we'll master this whole project together to get our finished mix. Let's think of our synths as a group and just solo these together just to hear what's going on in just our synths alone. It's a lot of mid-range. A little bit of bass, but not a ton. And we also have this opera sample in here too. To make space for our vocal, let's just pull down the mids ever so slightly. And unsolo this so we actually hear it together. Just to make more space for the vocals to occupy this mid-range.
I'm ready for whatever. Fear no man, never scared, no never.
So here we have our synths, bass, drums, and effects group. And we also have the individual channels with way more specific EQing and compression settings on each individual sound. But at this point in the mix, I really prefer to process everything together on the synths group. So let's go ahead and start with an EQ plugin. Let's do the ACE EQ. Open our plugin, and we've got a fully featured modern linear style EQ.
Can't stop, can't stop, rising up, can't stop. rising up.
We could scroll our mouse to increase the width. I like doing wider bell curves on my groups. And let's boost the presence of the synths in the lower mids, just to give that part a little bit more presence on these instruments. Let's go back to the start. And without it. And back on.
Rising up, I can't stop, I can't stop. Rising up, I can't stop now. Rising up, I can't stop.
Let's pull down a little bit where our lead vocals are primarily occupying, around 2.5K.
Can't stop, can't stop, rising up, can't stop, rising up, I can't
And that's
stop,
clean.
I can't stop, rising up, I can't stop.
Let's go into our bass instruments and see if we can enhance the low end with some EQ.
We're better, this is what I call leverage, pulling down the
And let's turn up a bell on channel 1. Nice wide bell.
won't stop, till I land, on top, can't stop, I think not, it's my time, check my watch,
Let's see if we can get more sizzle out of these bass instruments.
I can't stop, rising up, I can't stop now. Rising up, I can't
Hey.
stop, I won't stop, rising up.
I like that.
run the world as a rebel, lock and loaded with a bullet for the devil. Bring the pain, I'm ready for whatever.
Next, let's do our drums. For drums, I want to beef these up with a parallel compression bus. I love what compression does to enhance the fatness of everything, but I don't like having it ruining my transients. That's always why I use it in parallel. So let's use our 12th mix bus to insert a compressor that we're going to process our drums group with. Let's insert a new plugin, and we'll pull up the ACE compressor, stereo. Add it to our plugins, boom. And we're gonna put in some really aggressive settings and just blend this in at a small amount. And let's send our drums to it. And we'll call this glue. And let's send our drums to glue. Let's turn our attack up to let more transient through. Make our drums a little snappier.
Going hard is my tradition. All I do is win, I can't stop for nothing.
Smooth our knee out a little bit.
Love it when you got it out of nothing. You can't stop the rise, everything's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no grace when you give up. Folding under pressure, do the most.
And let's take glue away without it.
Do it better. This is what I call leverage. Pulling down the lever. Calling on
And back on.
Yeah, it's forever, can't stop. Won't stop. Till I land, on top, can't stop, I think not.
Another trick you could do is take the compressed drums and make them even brighter, like you're EQing the quiet version underneath, not the main version. Maybe boost the lows. Some mids.
Run the world as a rebel, lock and loaded with a bullet for the
And then take the output gain of our compressor to control how much of that parallel channel is in here.
No man, never scared, no never. You're all wrong, man, you should've known better. And if you knew, then you should've done better. Get the bread and the butter, I want all the cheddar. Cut it.
In my effects group, I generally don't process.
Won't stop.
Send a little bit more drums to glue.
On top, can't stop. I think not. It's my time. Check my watch.
Really get that compression going extremely hard. Or just leave it at default. Finally, let's get into our master channel. We're using the default Harrison console limiter. Let's start driving it a little bit harder on the input gain. Let's see how we do.
No man, never scared, no never. You're all wrong, man, you should've known better. And if you knew, then you should've done better. Get the bread and the butter, I want all the
Let's keep that limiter on.
Cut it out, you ain't applying no pressure, can't stop. Won't stop.
We also have a master EQ here. Maybe I'll bring more mids up.
Can't stop. I think not. It's my time. Check my watch, yo.
Feel like you're possibly smacking the limiter a little bit too hard, you could easily grab all your buses, hold them down a little bit in volume, or you could take the input trim on your master limiter and just reduce it a little bit.
Can't stop, can't stop. Lock and loaded with can't stop the rise, everything's right on time. If you don't seize the moment, you never press rewind. Ain't no grace when you give up. Folding under pressure, do the most, not the lesser.
Let's go without the EQ.
This is what I call leverage. Pulling
Back
down
on.
the lever, calling on the shots. Yeah, it's forever, can't stop.
That's nice.
Won't stop till I land.
Got our phase meter right here to help us see how wide our mix is.
It's my time. Check my watch, yo.
A free plugin I really like to use is the U-Lean loudness meter. And boom, we're falling right around -10 LUFS, which is exactly where we want to be. If you want to push it a little louder, we can hit the gain up and drive our master limiter ever so slightly harder.
I can't stop, I can't stop, rising up, I can't stop now. Woo, rising up, I can't stop, I won't stop, rising up, I can't stop. Woo.
Can't stop.
Hey.
Stop, rising up. Can't stop. Rising up. I can't stop.
Boom.
I can't stop. Rising up. I can't stop.
And we just grouped, bussed, mixed, added effects, and processed our rap song to perfection and also to industry standard loudness with our master chain, all using stock effects and plugins included with MixBus 10. If you want to try MixBus 10 Pro by Harrison Audio for yourself and get your hands on the unique analog workflow and sound quality of this Harrison console-inspired DAW, I've put links in the description below for you to get started, and I'll catch you guys next time in another video. Peace out.